Glory to God. Oh, we praise you, Lord. Yeah. Oh, let's clap our hands before the Lord. Yes. Lord, you're worthy to be praised. Yes, you are.
Welcome, brothers and sisters, to another fantastic show. As we told you before, our job is to bring you fantastic guests and hot topics. Well, brothers and sisters, we got a hot topic, and that is the disparity of funding for our schools. Those two fantastic gentlemen that was with us a little while ago, they back. They back. Superintendent, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Pat, welcome.
Thank you.
Let me say this from the offset. Since we are a Christian show, fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. That is our job as Christians, is obey God, keep his commandments. Exodus 20:1-17, the 10 commandments. You ought to read those commandments. You ought to study those commandments. And you ought to put those commandments in your heart. Because Jesus' job was to take care of people. Our job is to take care of people. Our job is to raise our children. Our job is to educate our children. And we have two fantastic guests here who's going to talk to you a little bit more about the disparity, the inequity, and the injustice that is inherent in property taxes. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. House Bill 750?
750.
House Bill 750.
Let's dissect it.
Okay.
What's the good part about House Bill 750?
The good part, well, among the good parts of House Bill 750 is that it would generate enough revenue that the state of Illinois could raise what's called the foundation level to the level recommended by EFAB, Education Funding Advisory Board. It was 2003 when EFAB made its first recommendation, and EFAB, this is endlessly fascinating to me. EFAB looked at school districts in Illinois which meet two criteria: that they are efficient and they are successful. Efficient meaning they spend their money well, efficiently, and successful meaning that at least 2/3 of the students in that district meet or exceed state standards. So, based on an analysis of those districts which both spend their money wisely and have at least 2/3 of the students meeting state standards, EFAB figured out that the state should be sending $6,000 to every school district for every student.
Can you repeat that?
Yes. This was in 2003. The Education Funding Advisory Board determined that the state of Illinois should raise the foundation level, the amount that the state sends to every school district, to $6,000 per student.
So what you're saying is that in understanding the disparity that already exists in our state, a independent board came on the scene and laid a new roadmap on what it would take to level the playing field, and that's what we're looking at.
To give every student, every district, a fair chance at meeting state standards.
Right.
What's wrong with that?
And right now, the foundation level is about $4,600.
EFAB recently updated its recommended funding level, I think it was just Monday, April 4th, to $6,400. So what is it, $4,600 right now? So the gap between what the state spends on every student and what two blue ribbon commissions have recommended the state spend on each student is $1,800.
You know, brothers and sisters, I don't like to get on my soapbox, but in this situation, I have to. Because what we have to look at is how we fund education in Illinois. An independent board gave a wonderful recommendation that we need to change the way we do business in Illinois. Now, the superintendent just brought out a little while ago that corporate America is trying to find every niche and itch and stitch to get property taxes back from our local schools. If the schools don't have enough money to educate our children now, how will these schools pay back this money? Superintendent,
Well,
speak to that.
number one, we don't have the monies to pay back because each dollar that we get, we spend it on children. There is a group out there that think most of the dollars that school district get goes to administration. We spend as many dollars in the classroom as we possibly can. Where you find the difference is about 80, sometime 85%, depending on the school district, goes to salaries, insurance, etc. But the other dollars, the other 15 to 20% goes to educate children, and it's in the classroom. With the corporations under the Property Tax Abatement Act, PTAB as it's called, many of them are looking for a loophole to come after school districts to say that we've overpaid you in taxes, now we want our money back. And they're going to court, and once you go to court, if you can't work out something outside of court, and then you go to court,
in legal fees.
it's done, and school districts are down and out.
But how were they able to do this? Did Springfield pass a law to give corporate America the opportunity to do this?
Well, much of this is also tied to tax caps.
Okay.
To give you an example, in 1994, when tax caps were brought in to Cook County, my school district had a debt limit of $285,000. That is my debt limit. The referendum that we had on the ballot was to raise our debt limit to $1.11 million. In other words, I can't sell bonds or do anything past $285,000. The average house in Cook County is going to cost you more than $285,000. I'm trying to educate 1,700 children. I don't have the dollars. The dollars don't match with my debt limitation. So I had to go to the constituents and say, here, and I think part of the problem that our referendum failed, we need to do a much better job of making sure that every constituent in our community understand what we're really saying down in layman's term, and we thought we had done that, but for some reason or another, we fell 49 votes short. 50 votes we would have carried, but we'll be back.
Well, let me say this, because I'm of the school that we need to reform property taxes. And let me take a little moment and read something to you. What makes property taxes more unfair than some other kinds of taxes? Property taxes were put into place to provide services for a specific community, such as police and fire service, parks and libraries, and to provide additional dollars for schools needed due to regional cost of living difference. Our founding fathers realized that democracy, our economics, our very security depend on an educated citizenry. Thus, public schools were created so all, hear me, all citizens or children would receive an appropriate education. Remember what I said earlier? In 1758, founding father and President John Adams said, the whole people must take upon themselves the education of the whole people and be willing to bear the expense of it. Brothers and sisters, what that means is that all of us, whether you live in Joliet, Dixmoor, Maywood, Broadview, Harvey, Hazelcrest, downstate Illinois, we're all in this together. All of us are responsible. All of us. That word A-L-L means all of us is responsible for paying for the education of our children throughout the whole state, whether you live in Chicago or downstate. And anybody who takes the position that I don't want my dollars to educate folks in East St. Louis, Maywood, Broadview, or up north, you're wrong. Because let me tell you something. That $1.6 billion that go to put somebody in jail,